Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RevOps Demos That Don't Suck, where we sit down with some of the leading cutting-edge technology companies out there to take product demos that they promise will absolutely not suck so that you don't have to, and you can get a good sense and feel for all of the different innovative technology solutions that are out there for revenue operators. I'm Matthew Baum, CEO and founder of RevOps Co-op, a global community of 16,000 plus revenue operators from all across the globe. And today we are sitting down with James McArthur, who is the head of RevOps over at New. And New is a complete revenue lifecycle platform, but I'm going to let James tell us a little bit more about New and specifically his background before I start to pepper him with questions about the platform. So James, welcome, my friend, but tell us just a little bit more about yourself and New, the platform, and then we can dive into some of the other questions that I have for you.
Well, thanks, Matt. Thanks for having me. And yeah, so about New is a Salesforce-native revenue lifecycle management platform. Basically, from the moment you're first creating a product all the way through to when you bill it out. The idea is we're creating a pipeline for all of your revenue to ensure that every single dollar you're trying to quote to your customers ends up being billed out the correct way every single time. It's a configuration, not code platform built entirely on the idea of making life easy for people, making life simple. Now, how I ended up here, wildly different story. Some restaurant stuff, some startup failures, but at the end of the day, I joined New over 2 years ago as community / RevOps / systems / anything else they needed me to be. And today, I'm running our quick start program, our community, and systems work alongside. In my free time, my spare time, I do some RevOps. So I'm excited to be here and talk through the platform with you and show the community what New's about.
That's awesome. All the stuff you just mentioned is very, very relevant, super important to every revenue operator. It's very meta that we get to sit down with a RevOps person from a RevOps product company like New. So before we dive into product and solution, I always like to start with the problem that we're solving for. And you probably understand this better than most, given that you are, again, the head of revenue operations at New. So let's start there. What are some typical problems, or what does this problem space look like for people in RevOps before a product like New comes into play? What are the headaches? What are the pain points? What are the problems that exist for people in RevOps around this space, this category today?
So it's kind of broad and far reach. As you'd imagine with any platform that this far and broad reaching as a CPQ and billing platform. The problems that we generally come up with when people come to us are they're trying to get really complex quotes out the door. Like they've hit a point of scale. Their product catalog has changed or they've gone international. Now they've got 130 different currencies that they're quoting in. They've got 5 different industries they're trying to sell into. They've got hardware, they've got software, they're trying to introduce youth, they're trying to introduce PLG. And frankly, all of that's really hard to do in almost any system. New is built from the ground up for that. In another case, they're a company 3 or 4 years in, SaaS company generally approaching $60 million in revenue, more like 10 years in, given current pace.
Yeah.
They're at a point where their customers are needing more and more control over their contract. They need to start doing in-app upsells, things like that. They're having issues with renewal. They're having issues getting things right on the finance side. We talk to a lot of companies whose finance teams are sitting there. We have a lot of companies whose finance teams are having to recreate every single order that comes through the door. Every time one of the rep closes, they have to go and recreate that order in the billing system because the billing and the CPQ weren't built together, or because the products the team is selling are different from the products they're billing across the board. And at the end of the day, all of these are wildly solvable problems, but very difficult using legacy systems like Salesforce CPQ, which is now going end of sale.
Yeah. Yeah. And Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And you hit on something important before we dive into the product and the solution. I know I've heard you say this before as well, is that you've probably convinced more people to not buy CPQ than you have convinced to buy CPQ. And it's for the reasons that you just mentioned, the problems that you're solving for. When it comes to things like invoicing and billing, when you're a business and you start to acquire those early customers or your first set of customers to get you to the, I don't know, whatever, first million, first 5 million, whatever it would be, you're typically doing things, might be manual, typically some simple sort of workflow. Your first solution is not to buy a CPQ product so that you can go out and begin to invoice and bill. But as you become successful, you start to add more products, you start to go across different regions. Now you have different currencies, you have maybe a mix of hardware and software. Maybe you got some services thrown in the mix. When you start to reach this level of scale and complexity, where things just start to compound very, very quickly, and the manual backbone, if you will, that you've built a lot of stuff on just is not able to scale with you, that's when you're typically in a good spot to begin to evaluate CPQ solutions.
100%. And the reality is, when you're early stage, your biggest problem from a quoting standpoint is doc jam. And the reality is that you only care about how the invoice is presented, how the quote is presented to your customer. You have 5 or 6 products that are presenting on there. You want something easy, simple. Most of the time when early stage companies come to me and they're like, I need a CPQ, talk them through, I can get them by with DocuSign. But it's almost always that simple. And yeah, I'd convince a lot of people early stage not to buy CPQ. At the same time, I've convinced some people at later stages not to buy a CPQ because I go and they're like, oh, well, I still have 5 products that I'm selling. It's just the 3,000 customers. And so that's not that complex either. But the reality is, the moment that complexity ramps up and the moment you start finding it, the moment you ask yourself, what is this customer going to pay next month? And you can't figure out the answer, it's time to buy a CPQ.
Yeah. And pricing and stuff can get complicated really, really quickly, especially now in the age of AI. We've always been talking about things like usage-based pricing. You got credit burn downs. You've got now this whole like value or outcome-based pricing, right? Things can just get complicated really, really fast. If we think about maybe the top use cases for a revenue operator for a tool like New, walk us through some of the main use cases and how you all are solving for some of those problems.
Yeah. So the primary use case that we solve for many of our customers is decreasing price complexity. This is one of those things where as you scale, you're selling to a broader range of customers. You're selling a different set of products. You've got 5 or 6, 7 different bundles. Each of them have their own configurable piece. All of that's built to be simple within New. So the primary one are people coming in and they've got SKU proliferation going crazy because they need to create a SKU for discounts. They need to create a different SKU for their education pricing. They need to create a different SKU for each of the currencies that they sell in, or they're using the standard multi-currency. And when their reps go to quote, they see thousands of entries. The big things that we're solving for are simplifying that process to where your reps only see what they need to quote through either multi-attribute, custom attributes, or through pricing tiers, because we fully separated New as fully separated price from product. So we give you the ability to create incredibly complex pricing structures with almost no need for additional SKU proliferation on the basis of product or price or who you're selling to. The second big one are companies that are looking for app or PLG. This has been something that's been coming up a lot. Right now, acceleration and speed is the number one thing, and getting people so that they can buy your product inside your app, so they can upsell themselves, so they can actually see what they're going to pay. All of those things are incredibly important. And New is a dual platform system. So we have our Salesforce-native application. And then we've got an entire headless application as well, where you can run everything you can do inside of New from your website or your application. So all of those renewals, all of the upsells, everything is easy, quick, and it can be done. It can be set up so that it can be done with a click. And then finally, and this is the big one, which you mentioned it, which is the introduction of usage, credit burn down, and more complex billing models. We do all of that via API or CSV upload if you have to. And the reality is we can quote that right alongside your hardware, software implementation products. And so as complexity increases, as you're looking to add on some of the different billing models, New makes it wildly easy to add on. And today, Matt, I don't know if you saw this, but we just announced that we acquired ApprovalsPro. And so now a new one for us is advanced approvals. So companies needing advanced approvals or anything that are looking for a no-code solution for incredibly advanced approvals.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that right before we hopped on here. So I was going to say, congratulations on that. It's like every week you guys have some new announcement I need to keep up with. But show us what those look like. Those 3 buckets that you mentioned all sound great, but what does it look like within the New platform? How do you guys actually solve for those?
Yeah. So let's jump into New, and I'll take you through what this looks like from a New rep standpoint, and then we can dive into some deeper quoting. All right. So I'll jump in. So this is Salesforce. So we'll start out in Salesforce. What I'm going to take you through is a new product demonstration. So this is what it looks like for Flip Electronics to buy Vroom Enterprise and then do some usage billing. So we're going to jump in. And the first thing you're going to notice once this loads is the layout. So New is designed, again, to be entirely Salesforce. Everything you see here is a Lightning Web component. This is all configurable using standard page layouts and later on field set. Every single field in New is controllable. All of your data, all of your CRUD, it's all Salesforce data. So you can manage everything internally within Salesforce. So I'll go ahead and hit New Quote here. Primary quote. And you'll notice right here, I have Flip Electronics, new business opportunity. I can attach this to any opportunity. I also have the ability to attach a template quote. So if you want your reps to do a one-click quote, all you have to do is search for it, and you can pull any template quote directly. But for this use case, I'm going to go ahead to the next. And one important thing that you'll notice is that everything is built around the idea of billing. So when I was talking about those complex use cases and complex pricing, New, when you're configuring your product, you're configuring billing. When you're configuring your quote, you're configuring billing. The entire thing is designed to make sure what you charge at the end of the day is right. And so to that point, I'll drop in Vroom Enterprise here. The first thing you're going to notice once this loads, it's designed to feel like you're buying online, because New from day one was designed for PLG. It was designed from the ground up for companies looking to make life easy for themselves, put this on their website. So this was designed to be done with the customer in mind. So I'll say I'm going to buy 125 licenses. I have a couple of options here. One thing I'll point out here is that I have the exact same SKU on both of these with entirely different names. This is the same product. That's, again, how we've separated price from product, where you can create both a prepaid usage model and a pay-as-you-go usage model with no SKU proliferation whatsoever. I also have a credit burn down bundle within a bundle here, where you can pull out any of those. You can set up a pool and draw it down based on your actual usage. And then the best part about New is the complexity of our bundling, where you can have bundled products, included products, and recommended products. I have professional services here. I have customer support, and I'll show you how this is set up later. In this bundle, I have subscriptions, hardware, usage, and support products all within the exact same bundle. And once I hit confirm, this is where we can actually play around, because New is designed for configurability, whether that's our incredible proration engine, where let's say you have really, really small changes you need to make to term, you can change things by a day and New will automatically calculate that term. Or let's say you want to extend out for 36 months. New is smart enough to look across its price tags, because again, we fully separate price from product. And okay, here's your ramp over the life of the customer. And then at the same time, do volume pricing or tiered pricing tags so that are configurable on a product by or quote by quote level. So I can come here and let's say for this customer, they actually want to do tiered billing. I change that to tiered, you immediately see the price impact. Now, this is all designed around simplifying your life, simplifying your customer's life, making it so that from day one all the way through until the end of the contract, you know exactly what they're going to be paying every single minute of the day. And then we can also play around with the discounting. So let's say I start off with a 15% discount. Customer comes back and says, you know what? No, I need $75,000 off. Finally, they say, actually, my budget is $300,000. At this point, our rep has discounted very heavily. And it's not something that we're really that excited about. At the same time, we can also see that our professional services have ranked up to meet us because they run as a percentage total. And if I wanted to, I could set up my milestone billing here as well. So we've got a lot of different aspects of New here that are entirely configurable. And it's designed to be quick. It's designed to be easy. Any questions come to mind after seeing this?
I guess the main thing I was thinking of was just how, if you're trying to do this any other way, just how much more effort and manual time you would need to do this, which would ultimately prevent you from even wanting to do complex pricing like this, where it can be a huge value add to margin, allow you to get bigger deals. But the flip side is if you want to offer more complex pricing, you need to be able to execute against it. And like you said, actually bill people for it. And if you don't have the infrastructure in place to be able to do that easily like this, then there's just so many different people involved. There's so much button clicking involved. There's so much manual work and spreadsheets and all this other stuff involved. And yeah, like you said, just the very notion of separating product from price, when you have a system that has those things combined, like you said, the SKU proliferation is very, very real. And it doesn't take you long to see how disruptive that can be on things.
100%. And it's one of those things where when we're talking about New, designed to be quick and it's designed to be easy, where you can see this ramp up. But then again, it's designed everything end to end, designed around transparency and billing from day one. So if I preview invoices, I can sit here and it'll calculate every invoice for the life of the contract. So if you've ever had to explain to someone, hey, what are you going to be paying every single month of this contract? You can do that on day one. You can save this and include that in the order form, so they know exactly what they're going to be paying every single month of the contract.
So we're obviously looking at Salesforce here. Do you guys have other integrations, say with HubSpot or other CRMs, or what are some other popular integrations outside of the Salesforce one that we're currently looking at?
Well, the most popular one, which isn't even really an integration, are going to be around DocGen. We have our own native DocGen platform or build where we can generate a PDF here. But the other side is we integrate with DocuSign, we integrate with Ironclad, we integrate with almost everything.
Yeah.
And so you can go and create your PDFs, you can create your DocuSign all there, or we have, like I said, ApprovalsPro, which launched, and Salesforce has decided to be very slow right now, which is phenomenal, where I can set up multi-tier approvals. One example is if I were to go back and I were to say, you know what, let's make quarterly. And go approval. I now have a billing period approval as well. And so new advanced approvals enables you to do parallel, enables you to do serial approvals, and it gives you transparent visibility into every single step of that process. So I can see exactly who it's assigned to. Again, this is my environment. I'm the person that makes all the decisions.
Reject it. Can't trust that guy. Like you said, he does
Just
deal way
kind
too.
of- Well, it's all right because it was only approved up to RevOps. And my reps have full visibility into this. I can even reassign, add an approver, whatever I need to do just from this screen. And so the idea is transparency the whole way down, giving your reps easy access and ability to very quickly run through. It's built to be quick. It's built to be easy. And yeah, that's the new quoting engine. Other integrations we have QuickBooks, Stripe. We have our finance integrations, which includes Avalara, so e-tax, VAT, taxes, e-VAT, and e-invoicing are all available. And then we have NetSuite and Sage Intact integrations as well.
So we walked through the quoting process. We walked through some stuff on the approval process as well. We talked a little bit about integrations. We talked about the problems that companies are currently faced with and how you're able to help them. So let's talk about who's typically a good fit. Do you have any examples of current customers that you can share? And then for anyone sitting out there looking at this today, who's typically a good fit for the new product?
Where the best fit are going to be generally SaaS companies with some variant of the pricing complexity we discussed earlier.
Yeah.
In the 50 million plus range. Some of those companies that we work with today, companies like LeafLink, OpenAI, the companies that are growing very quickly and need a lot of flexibility when it comes to upgrading, downgrading their subscriptions. We've got a bunch of different companies across the board, like Betterworks, Mirador, Flywheel, Glean. There are so many different companies that are using new in different ways, whether it's empowering in-app PLG or in-app and PLG motions or powering their usage engine on the other side. New gives people the ability to decrease that complexity significantly when it comes to completing their orders and simplifying the entire process from quote to cash.
Do you have an example of the headless stuff and supporting the in-app purchasing? What does that look like in the new platform, even if it's on the back end? I'm just curious on that.
So what that is, New's designed, again, to be entirely, this is the new platform. From here, I can any of my products, usage, anything like that. So the way New is built, the same way that we configured our bundle before, test bundle, we can configure our products on the front end. That includes publishing to that external environment. And then from there, it's all API driven. So you're going to be selecting your products. The call is very simple, but it's just about simple calls where literally the renewal call is about 4 lines. It's designed to be simple. It's designed to be.
That's awesome. So on the implementation side or the initial setup side, what does the implementation process typically look like? How do people get to value quickly? How is your team involved? How do they upload current product catalogs? Talk about the implementation process and the setup process a little bit.
So we have a couple different styles of implementation we go through depending on complexity. The implementation program that I run, our Quick Start program, it's designed to be a 6-week program that gets you from start all the way through to implemented in that period. Week 1, you're getting hands-on. We're installing in your sandbox day 1. Then we're taking you through, you're building out your products with us there. We're walking you through that. We start you off testing out all of your quoting. We get to subscription imports starting in week 2. And then we're working through all of your subscriptions, getting everything set up and ready. And then from there, we transition entirely to billing, getting your billing set up from all the way through. Your team is involved every single step of the way. And we approach it from a teach you how to fish rather than us doing the fishing for you. So when you walk out, you're fully ready to come in here, grab a product and configure it as you need to.
That's great. So let's talk a little bit about ROI. And I guess 2 sides of that equation. There's return or value and then cost. So let's start with the value side of the equation first. What are some ways that your customers see value? How do they typically define and realize value from deploying and adopting something like new?
Value hits from the moment they go to production. It's really about time savings on their sales side. Sales teams love us because it's fast and it's easy once they get in there and they've had to deal with the legacy CPQ systems or switching into different things. It's all of a sudden they're picking up, they're moving very quickly through the quoting process. ROI happens almost immediately on that front. And then the other side that we immediately see payoff is on the finance side. And that's because from an invoicing standpoint, makes it incredibly easy where you have full transparency into everything around that invoice within the system. So we very much recognize the fact that there is no finance team on the planet that wants to sign into Salesforce. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
In our application, we have the ability to track all of your invoice items, credit memos, payment application. You can process refunds. You can cancel invoice on a fresh invoice that isn't paid. Let's go here. Go to chart. 50 cents invoice. I can process my payments right off, do credit memo. I can do everything from inside new. This saves finance teams a ton of time at the same time as our generated bespoke billing schedules, where you can come in here and configure fully bespoke schedules to a single customer or on a recurring basis to entire swaths of customers based on any filter on that customer record or based on products. Any single thing can drive a billing schedule. And this from that point is what we call frictionless automation. The idea that you set it and forget it and it will just run. And new manages all the complexity behind the scenes. You don't have to sit there and continually baby these things because everything is going to be right here and you will see in the status field the moment something goes wrong or get notified on it.
Yeah. And I'm sure you've seen this as well, but I remember even probably there's still plenty of these people out there, companies who have literal people whose job is just order processing and invoicing. Their job is to do what you just showed can be done with a couple of clicks. That is their day-to-day is basically manual processing of all of that information. So yeah, pretty incredible that it can be done through one platform and done so easily too.
Yeah. For example, here, I just sent this over to Stripe. This is a demo account, so I do need to manually send things over to Stripe. You can automate all of this, but new makes it easy in that I can now come here and actually that has already transitioned over and we can see the status here. It's designed for those teams that are manually processing orders. For the teams that have to manually recreate every bill, every order that comes through, they no longer have to do that with new. And then finally, the biggest savings, honestly, is from oversight and reporting standpoint, where this is the deal we just closed. We can see on day one, how many times have you gone to a CSM, any CSM, and asked them, what is the customer going to be billed? And then have an answer.
Yeah. A right answer was wrong answer count.
Preferably the right.
Yeah.
I totally get that, sometimes
Yeah.
play with it. But at the same time, you want to know more about how new PLG stuff works. Let's want to 25 licenses in May 26th. Oh, it's my wedding anniversary. I can come here. I can do a checkout just like I would on Amazon, where I can create a new quote, create a new order, or I can process in the same way we would in app. Print orders as an active order, express checkout, and in about 5 seconds, that will be done. And when I refresh and I go back to the order, we'll see the second order there. This will happen. And now I will have processed an upsell to this customer right away. Made one more refresh because it does happen asynchronously. Tell me the order. There we go.
Yeah.
Second order, discount amount. We actually increase their price a little bit, and then we can update quantity as of that date.
Yeah. That's very cool. And so we just talked a little bit about the value side. On the pricing side, what can you share on pricing? Either how do you guys charge? Is it per seat? Is there a platform fee? How should people think about the cost side of the equation?
So the purchase price is platform plus, and then for our new ApprovalsPro product, we're $25 a user.
Cool. So we talked about a couple of different things, and there's obviously a lot of value kind of crammed into the new platforms. You've obviously seen a lot of other CPQ products. You've been in RevOps at a lot of other companies that have used a plethora of different CPQ products, and you've also experienced the manual way of doing things without a CPQ. So from your perspective, you got to pick just one thing. What's the one key differentiator that New has that really sets it apart from all of its competitors, whether you're talking about the manual kind of way of doing things, other CPQ products and revenue lifecycle products that are out there? What's the one thing that puts you guys at the top?
Ability. New takes a configurability, not code approach. There's no customization in our platform. It's designed from the ground up so that any admin can pick it up, any salesperson can pick it up, and in minutes figure it out. And so the idea behind New is that it's simple, it is easy, and it's designed to help you scale. So there's obviously simple is complex, but the idea is we make it as simple as humanly possible for you to manage every billing model, for you to manage every quoting structure that you need, every product structure that you need, end to end, and with an eye towards frictionless automation, which includes our dynamic options, which if you look at a product elite webinar we just did, we have the ability for you to set a product price once and never have to worry about it again, no matter how that product changes over time. We enable you to do set and forget it billing schedules. You're configuring for your future, you're building for the growth you have ahead, and we will continue to grow with you as you do that. And you will never have to use code to do it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because otherwise, again, if you don't approach things that way, we wind up in a spot where someone gets to a point where they're trying to get to that next phase of growth and next level of scale. And all those problems we talked about before with complexity and things, right? If you don't build your platform that way, you're not going to be able to serve those customers into the future.
Yeah. And imagine we allowed you to customize between quote, order, and invoice.
Yeah.
Any customization you make between order and invoice has the potential to cost you real revenue.
Mm-hmm.
And since we remove that customization, you now have the ability to know what your customer is going to build every single minute of their relationship and never have to worry that that's going to be wrong, because New's managing the entire pipeline and nobody can insert, for lack of a term, silly stuff in the middle, which we see happen all the time.
Yeah.
No pro rate multipliers here.
Yeah. All those things that you think you need because your business is unique or special or whatever. I hate to break it to y'all, you're not. So just do things the right way. please, and use a tool like New to get you there. So I have two more questions for you. The first one is, how can someone try the product? Is there any sort of like self-serve pilot trial program that you guys offer? Do they need to come in, request a demo? Should they reach out to you either in the RevOps Co-op Slack or LinkedIn or something? What's the best way for people to get in touch and see what y'all can do for them?
So to choose your own adventure. So the first and the easiest one is request a demo. If you want to go into a setting where you will end up in front of one of our AEs who will happily give you a demo of the product and then follow up with you on it many times. The second one, I'm going to be doing some workshops where I'm going to give you access to a new environment, a generic new environment. You will have limited ability to change products and pricing and all of those. But you can get your hands dirty and play with every aspect of the platform from end to end, including building your own product, including all these different things. And that is an admin workshop that we have coming up. I will send the dates out after this, whenever this goes up.
Yeah.
And the final thing is, always feel free to hit me up. I'm always around. I'm in RevOps Co-op. I'm in WizOps. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm wherever you hunt me down.
In person or on the internet. I mean, James will be at RevOps AF in New Orleans. If there's any other RevOps event going on or not, chances are he'll probably be there. Hunt him down in person or on the internet, and he'll always respond.
Fun fact, this is the first Wednesday. We're shooting this in March 26th. This is the first Wednesday I've actually been in my house.
Nice. I don't know if that's good or bad. I don't know how much of your family appreciates that, but I'm happy to share that milestone with you today. All right, so I got one other question for you. It's not demo related, but I always like to pepper in something that's not product or demo related. So I want you to think back to your professional career up to this point, because like you said, you've had a variety of different roles, jobs, companies, and people watching this are typically working in RevOps. They typically have come from that same sort of background. So my non-demo related question for you is, I just want you to think back to your professional career and who is one person that has made a huge impact on your professional career, either because of something they did, a chance they took on you, whatever that might be, and who is it and what did they do?
James McArthur, brought me into the RevOps world fully. Where I was at a crypto VR startup that had just imploded.
That's a true story. Didn't just put together a bunch of random buzzwords.
So I will show you the product. I might have one laying around here. I noticed she had looked at my LinkedIn the day before, probably trying to sell me something. But I reached out and I was like, hey, you're hiring. I don't have a job. May I come work for Go Nimbly, please? And despite the fact that I was very technical, but head of sales and marketing for many different startups and had been I built all the systems for all the companies I'd ever worked for. But at the end of the day, I was still a head of sales and marketing person. She was like, yeah, let's talk. And since then, she has been nothing but supportive and has been there every step of the way of my journey. And so I would say Jen.
Yeah, that's awesome. Jen is awesome. Go Nimbly is awesome and produces incredible relationships and people like you as well, James. And now you're at another incredible company, New, building this incredible revenue lifecycle platform that will be a huge value add to any revenue operator out there. So like you said, hit James up if y'all want any sort of demo or just questions on the platform. Otherwise, head on over to new.io and see what the solution can do for you. But James, that's all I got for you, my friend. So thank you for dropping some knowledge on us and walking us through the platform, but I don't have anything else for you, so I'll let you run.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.